morning, everybody. Dr. Gabriele Jasper with Jeremy Vickers.
That's right. And this is Painless with Dr. Gabriele Jasper.
Painless, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to talk about is, first, I always like to introduce myself. I'm a physician. I'm a specialist in, I would call that a super specialist.
Super specialist, definitely.
In pain. I would say it's a subdivision of pain medicine.
Right.
You know, first of all, we come out of anesthesia.
Mm-hmm.
So anesthesia is our base. And we do surgeries, we do interventional pain. And that's the subspecialty, the super specialist.
Yeah, it's calculated is what it is. You know, you find those generators and right in.
Yeah, what happens is over the years, you know, we used to do just plain pain medicine. It's actually one of my, in the beginning of my
Career
residency, we did mostly pain medicine, prescribed pain medication.
Yeah,
and we were just getting involved with that and getting that pretty much down pat. But and they call it the fifth vital sign, where you can't deny people pain medicine, and it's evolved into right now it's a bad thing.
right.
But we didn't know what to do in those days. We didn't have much procedures or ways to figure it out, pain generators. But today it's evolved through, we actually do procedure and we can get rid of pain.
Yeah.
And that's why I call myself an interventional pain physician, which means we do something to get rid of the pain. It's not just pain medication. In fact, in my practice, anybody knows anything about my practice, I don't prescribe pain medication.
Yeah.
If I do a little procedure where it will cause pain for a few days, I'll prescribe some pain medication just to get over that hump from the incisional pain and stuff like that, which is not much because, I do minimally invasive small incisions that do great things with very fast recovery, safe and very effective treatment, where we've avoided many big spine surgeries because of it. And that's the future. That's the present. Well, it's probably the future because the present, a lot of doctors have not caught up yet.
Yeah,
they've stayed behind with big major spine surgeries, and even they're getting conservative to the point where they're not doing as many surgeries as they used to because they know it hurts people sometimes.
Right. I actually spoke to a patient this week, and she said, I've been with Dr. Jasper for a while, but she says I went and got a second opinion. I said, "Oh, did you?" He says, "Yeah." And she says, but he wanted to do a fusion on me. I said, "Oh, fusion," and I show, we had a model of a huge spine there, and I was showing her like exactly what happens. I says, we've had patients come in whose fusions were like all up their spine. The spine was like a broomstick, and she's like, "Oh my God." Yeah, I got right out of there and I came back to Jasper's,
Well, that's kind of the way my practice works. We avoid unnecessary surgeries.
Yeah.
Now we talk about fusion like they're a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fusion's not a bad thing. Fusion, when you need fusion, and I'm the first one to tell you.
Yeah.
But there's every year that goes by with the new procedures that come out, there's less and less indications for fusions. See, I'm famous, of course, in my own mind. But, people know me. People know me because of my endoscopic surgery.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I go in. I go in with a scope, and I go right into here, and I'll take that herniation out. I pull it right out. It's like sometimes a 20-minute procedure with a 4 millimeter incision, and virtually no pain, no scar tissue after the procedure, and the pain goes away. This is mostly for pain that when you have a pinch in a nerve, sciatica pain, stuff like that.
Radiates down the leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I probably do 80% less of those surgeries because of the new stuff.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion and a realism that with the evolution, even my procedures are getting not obsolete, But the
New innovations are
the
opening up.
indications
Yeah.
for my procedures are getting smaller.
Mm.
You know, because for example, like if you got a bulging disc right there by that nerve, right?
Right.
You got a bulging disc over there by that nerve. I've been putting spacers uh, in between here, and watch what happens to the hole. The hole opens up. You know, you open that hole up. Now there's not only room for the nerve, there's room for the herniation.
Right.
You know, herniations. There's nothing wrong with a herniation because a lot of people have them with no pain. You know, I look at MRIs and I can see somebody with 5-level herniation with no pain shooting down their leg.
Right.
They might have arthritis pain from these joints rubbing, and we treat the arthritis pain, or they might have some spinal stenosis, which is that you know, you can't walk far, you got to sit down, you got to lean on the shopping cart. Why? Because this is no longer open when you stand. It collapses. We put the spacers in, and it opens up. You know, I treat patients with compression fractures, which is a broken bone right here,
Mm.
which gets rid of the pain virtually immediately.
That's magic, that thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and when the patient gets out, they got no pain, and I look at the MRI, they got herniated discs
Yeah.
with no pain. So you don't treat them because they have a herniated disc. So the point is, if we could open up that hole, right, where the herniation is, like
Right.
this, and the pain goes away, then what do you got to remove the herniation for?
Right.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So that's why my procedure has become less. There's less indications for it today.
Yeah, but you can see in that disc, well, it's degenerative disc disease, right? So your discs get smaller and smaller,
Yeah, well,
and
that's the problem because the disc is supposed to be like that.
yeah, so
Look
that
how big the
hole,
hole is, and
yeah,
these joints in the back, right? They don't touch when it's like that. But now this collapses. The joints are touching arthritis, and the holes are smaller. The central canal, because of the ligament, folds, and you get all the problems of degenerative disc disease.
yeah,
And we got things that we can get rid of that. The new disc, you know, with the center of the disc,
Mhm.
we replace it with an allograft, which this here is, we could get completely replaced,
right.
right? With
Nucleus of
with a
the
nucleus,
disc.
yeah, a
Yeah,
brand new nucleus. It's like a transplant, you know. It's not transplant, it's the fact that you don't have a nucleus there anymore. It's completely gone.
yeah.
And when it's gone, we put a new one in, and all of a sudden the patient's discogenic pain goes away. You know,
That's like one of the newest next level procedures that have come out over the last 5 years, right?
yeah, this has been out probably maybe 2 years,
2 years,
3 years.
2 years.
They got the FDA approval many years to try to do that, and to pass it. I was skeptical in the beginning, but every time I do this, I could do in every degenerative disc, especially ones that look painful. It gets rid of the pain from
Right.
that disc. But the problem here is the fact that the only insurance company that pays for it is Medicare,
Right.
and I'm an advocate on treating, kind of preventing all the consequences of degenerative disc disease. Because what are the consequences of degenerative disc disease? Arthritis of the spine, spondylosis, radicular pain from pinched nerves,
Right.
herniated disc, right? Discogenic pain from the disc, and then spinal stenosis. You know, these are 5 different, and it's probably more, but this is off the top of my head, but it goes on and on and on, all because of the degenerative disc disease. The disc starts like this, now then it's like that.
Mm.
And if you could get somebody at the beginning of degenerative disc disease, like the first thing that happens is that nucleus goes, right? So I had a patient the other day, 40 years old, nucleus shot in 4-5 and 5S1. This person would benefit, already has symptoms. I've been treating her. She already has symptoms. Now all we got to do is replace that nucleus, and what will happen? It'll either stop it dead in its track or slow it down tremendously.
Right.
The company seems to think that it really stops it dead in its track. Maybe it does if somebody's like, 75, 80 years old, and might take 20 years for it to degenerate because it's still nucleus, and nucleus degenerates after a while.
Right.
Some people more than others. That's why it's a genetic problem. Genetic problem. My father died at 95 years old with no spinal stenosis. And the patient was in my office. Said, I'm 75 years old. Everybody has spinal stenosis. So I said, no, it's not true.
Mm.
I told her about my father. I'm 70 years old. I don't have spinal stenosis. I got arthritis, but I don't have spinal stenosis. Thank God, that genetically it's not in my family.
Yeah.
You don't have spinal stenosis, I don't think. You
No.
just have consequences of degenerative disc disease, except for spinal stenosis.
Yeah.
You got the arthritis. You get sometimes. Maybe we should consider doing via disc on you.
I've always thought, yeah.
Aren't you Medicare?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean Medicare pays for that, so maybe we should consider it, at least because you do have certain types of symptoms that cause that you'll be indicated, like symptoms of sitting down. You get pain, bending over, lifting stuff up, especially sitting down. If you sit down too long, you get pain. If people are out there and have that kind of pain, that's discogenic pain.
Yeah.
Coughing, sneezing, sometimes that'll do it. But
I'd like to get it. And then, I mean, just for my own benefit, but also I can talk about it to the patients then.
yeah, especially if you get better. But
Yeah.
you don't have too much back pain right now, do you?
Well, you just gave me a radio frequency ablation last week or 2 weeks ago. Is it? Yeah, two weeks ago. I don't know. But it was magic. Like I felt a little of the needles the next day. Not much though. I don't really feel it takes a lot for me to hurt,
Yeah.
But then after that, the second day, I felt great, and I was feeling like somebody was punching me in my sides over and over, haymakers,
Yeah.
and that thing just cleared it up, and now I feel great. I can actually move around. I get out of bed without grunting.
Good morning, Felix.
Yeah, Felix.
What do? You take a shot, say, hey, is he on today? I haven't been on not too many Saturdays in a long time.
I posted earlier that we would
did?
be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a great field.
Yeah.
To have these old people come in and the younger people come in that just feel good after these procedures, and I must say at least 2-3 times that sometimes you don't expect people to get as good. And then I just say, listen, you just made my day. And they, doc, you just made my life. It's just such a great feeling.
Well, that's what I know. You changed my life. I was down in the cracks. I had doctors telling me they couldn't fix me. And they were just throwing pain pills at me. Then thank God Maggie found you on online, and I got the right kind of insurance. So I was like, well, this is great. And we went in to see you. First time I see you, you're like, I could fix that. I could fix you. And I was like, oh, come on, I've heard that before, or I've been waiting in waiting rooms for half a day at some other places, and I am doing it here, but I'm just expecting the same. Now, the first, what was it? The fourth visit, they wheeled me in on a gurney from the car. I couldn't stand, couldn't sit, couldn't walk. I had been living with pain 24/7. I was told I cried in my sleep. And then, what was it, like 2.5 hours later, I walked out. And I've been walking ever since. Like tell me that,
It happens every day.
Yeah.
Every day, people out there, that's why they wonder why I advertise. I advertise because most people don't even know what we do, what I can do,
Yeah.
and what other interventional pain docs could do. And there's not too many of us out there. There's a few out there that do what I do, but the problem is that they today it's so hard to survive doing what I do. I'm by myself. I got 25 employees. I got all the instrumentation. I got X-ray machines, everything, live fluoro, expensive as hell.
Yeah.
Everything. You get
high definition TV screen, so you can get right
the
in there.
overhead is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So what happens? Most of these guys today, I can't find a guy to work with me or a woman to work with me, a doctor to work with me that wants to go into private practice because it's expensive. We don't make the kind of money that somebody would make who works for a group of doctors that has orthopedic surgeons, neurospine surgeons, chiropractors, physical therapists, um, alleged interventional pain docs. They're probably just medicine doctors,
Pain management, yeah.
pain management doctors, and they're feeding each other.
Mm-hmm.
They feed each other, and and I hate to say it. Now, people listen. Overall, the fraud, and we're going to talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
The fraud in medicine is extremely low. There's statistics. I'm not Charlie Kirk. I can tell you statistics.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
we should look that up. I mean, what's the percentage of doctors that commit fraud?
Mm.
Right. But going back to what I was saying is, my goal is to keep patients in my practice and keep them out of surgery if there's any way possible. And over the years, I've found ways possible to keep them out of major surgery. We do minimally invasive spine procedures, which keep people out of surgery. I think the last time I sent somebody for lumbar surgery had to be about 8 years ago, because within the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 years, this new stuff that came out is ridiculous.
Mm.
I mean, it really avoids major surgeries. But the problem is we don't get paid that much for it, but our overhead is still pretty high. Now, if you got a big group of doctors that feed each other, somebody comes into the pain doctor, they come in and they get a couple epidurals and they go for surgery. A lot of times people don't realize they can call a pain doctor like me and come directly over. They think they got to go to orthopedics.
Okay, I got that percentage for you.
What is it?
Okay, it says here, one review suggests that more than 2% of doctors may engage in fraud practices in a harmful or abusive way. And then
What's the percentage? 2%?
2%.
But
then I got this other here. Is commonly cited estimate is that 3% to 10% of healthcare spending is lost to fraud, waste, and abuse. Yeah.
So you figure probably an average of 5%,
yeah,
but not even 2%. I can't believe it's even that high.
Yeah.
Because overall, doctors, most doctors in their life are honest. Why?
Well, they got into the field to help people.
Yes, to help people. And by the way, you got to be kind of not a psychopath. You got to be a sociopath to be a fraud doctor. Why? Because you can't be normal. I mean, you work all your life to get to where you are. And we don't have the right to practice medicine. We have the privilege to practice medicine. Yeah. It's our privilege to be able to do this. The state, the government, the state board of medical examiners, they give us the privilege, and that privilege could be taken away overnight.
Yeah. I mean, these any doctor who's fraudulent, they know what they're doing every day.
And the consequences are you lose your license.
Yeah.
And most doctors are just doctors.
Mm.
They lose their job. They're washing cars for a living.
Right.
Not that it's bad for somebody to be washing cars. There's people that are nice people washing cars, but you go from doing major surgery, taking care of patients, making a good living, to washing cars or
flipping burgers or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know how to do a lot.
Right.
Because when we started very young to become doctors, we didn't have time to learn other things.
Right.
That's why the fraud. In general, they're honest people. But sometimes, honest people, go dishonest, and they start referring to each other and not doing the right thing.
Right.
But this new thing out there with listen, I voted for Trump. I'm not a political guy. I just listen to everything and see what's going on. But this thing about Dr. Oz is actually a good thing, theoretically.
Right.
Right. Because he says, I'm going to stop the fraud. Right. Ooh, how much are we going to gain by stopping the fraud? 2% or 3-4% of the doctors committing fraud.
Mm.
It's not even worth the money. I mean, how much are they losing? I mean, these people, they catch them anyway.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with they actually, whoever goes out there, like Medicare, insurance companies, if they detect any kind of fraud, they'll audit you and they look at things and they'll catch you if you're doing fraud. In fact, sometimes they'll accuse you of fraud when you did no fraud, which happens. It's almost like this collateral damage.
Right.
They are pretty efficient, but what they're not efficient about. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? You enjoying my show?
That's great. The
Jerry.
beautiful,
Right.
the beauteous.
Hey, Jerry, how you doing?
Carmel Jasper.
Anyway, that's my nephew, my great nephew.
Is he really?
That's Alexandria's and Dan's, Carmel and George's grandson.
Oh.
Anyway, he's watching me. He always calls me up, FaceTimes me.
That's
but anyway, so you got to watch out. You got to make sure you dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yeah. Because
they're going to get you. Now, I don't know if we really need this Dr. Oz thing. Maybe it's good to, the big thing now is what they're protesting and everybody's all upset about is the fact, especially now that the government's closed, you hear Schumer saying, here I'm getting to politics, but it's easy
hard,
politics.
It's hard not to, though, sometimes.
It's easy politics. It's just common sense stuff because most people don't know what's really going on. Yeah. We got to save the health care for the people.
Right.
But what Trump and those guys are trying to do is they're trying to stop the fraud.
And you know what? I think if you take like and study down on these people, and they know they're being watched, and they know that the government's crunching down on them, that may be enough to stop a lot of the doctors that cut corners or are fraudulent, and just so the fear of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that might make a change.
But he did it, and I see repercussions of it already. For example, let me real quick.
Sure.
So what I was saying is that there are many, many people out there that are healthy, don't work, and collect money, Medicaid, Social Security checks, help by the government, food stamps, free health care, that can go out there and work. But the way it's set up now is that you're now married. They call it married to the government. You don't have, especially the single mothers that are don't have husbands, right, and they have kids. They're not married to husbands. They're married to the government. The government's supporting them. But it's not just the single mothers. It's people have really they've gone through fraud, disabled, and they could work.
Yeah.
That being said, the other thing is what's happening with Dr. Oz that wants to stop the fraud is they're trying this new experiment, they call it. But I don't know how much it's going to be an experiment. They're picking certain procedures that doctors do in the healthcare, and they want the Medicare. They're going through Medicare because all the private insurance companies do pre-certifications, pre-authorizations. That's most of them do that. Depending on how much money you pay for your insurance. But they wanted Medicare was one insurance company where it's almost like they had faith in doctors. It was last of the Mohicans that, you know what, the doctors make the decisions together with the patients, and they do the right thing for the patients. Of course, you might have that 2% fraud.
But that's how it started. It started like, medical insurance started from doctors wanting to make it easier for patients to be able to, pay their way and stuff. And then it became like either a government or corporate thing. It's changed over time. And now here we are. Yeah.
What was I saying?
You were talking about.
Please don't interrupt me in the middle of a sentence.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was my fault.
When there's a pause, interrupt me. Now, when you reach my age, I just had a new birthday here.
Yes, you did. Happy birthday.
Years old. I just turned 70 years old, and
Yeah.
sometimes I forget. So try not to distract me.
I still got your present. I'm going to give it to you Wednesday.
Yeah. Anyway, where was I saying? I was saying that as far as the fraud goes, the insurance companies, Medicare was the last of the Mohicans to not demand pre-certification, pre-authorization. You did what you had to do. In fact, I had a patient that came into my office the other day, severe pain, couldn't even walk. They happened to have an MRI with him. I looked at the MRI and I saw that this patient, I saw exactly what was causing the patient to have pain. It was a Medicare patient. I can't let that patient leave the office like that when I know I could get rid of their pain. So as a good physician, Medicare, I gave that patient a shot that day.
Yeah.
Medicare wants you not to give a shot at that particular day. They want you to do it the next day or day after. I don't know why, but they won't pay you, or they pay you less, whatever it is. But you know what? You can't let the patient leave like that. I gave him a shot. The patient left with no pain.
Yeah.
With absolutely no pain.
That's what makes you a fantastic doctor.
Thank you. But the thing is, starting January,
yeah,
for that injection that I gave that patient, they're going to start to ask us to pre-authorize it. We got to get it pre-authorized by Medicare. And this is the big thing that we've been complaining about with the disadvantage programs, the Medicare Advantage, which isn't bad in itself, because it might stop a lot of fraud, which isn't really a lot of fraud, but they might stop fraud to a certain extent, maybe get it from 2% down to 1%.
Right.
Big friggin' deal. But who sacrifices and who gets affected? The physicians and the patients, mostly the patients.
Right.
A patient have to leave. I would not be able to, as of January 1st, I can't give that patient a shot. This is a severe pain. I got to get it approved. So what does that mean? That means I have 3 billers. I got to hire somebody specifically for authorization, which I have already. I might need 2 people for authorization. I see 40 patients a day, and majority of those patients are Medicare. I got to, if I want to do it the next day, chances are that pre-authorization person working for me, it's got to call Medicare, whatever they got to do to get it pre-authorized, like maybe 30 times that day. And how are you going to do that for the next day?
Right.
How are you going to do it for the next day? They're going to suffer. Patient's going to suffer. And you know what happens? I am worried about the fact that it's going to be like Medicare Advantage, where procedures that Medicare pays for and Medicare Advantage doesn't pay for, it's going to be the same thing. Now they're going to stop. They're going to start. They got AI. You give your notes to them. There's nobody reading this. There's AI looking for key words. If you make a diagnosis, you put it in your own words, but it's all there, and they say, no, it's not authorized. We're going to deny it because AI didn't pick up that one word for that particular diagnosis. It's going to be chaos. Patient's going to suffer. Doctor's going to suffer. I mean, we can't pay our overhead as it is.
Right.
Now we're going to be seeing all these 40 patients and not be able to treat them. When I can get reimbursement, we're going to treat them. Sometimes you treat them, they don't pay you. It's going to be a big clusterfuck.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
And if you put your notes in to the AI is going to rearrange them and rewrite them, but you don't know how they're going to rewrite them or what they're going to take out. The AI with the
they don't rewrite anything. They probably just scan it and they say, oh, the word I don't know, intermittent neurogenic claudication wasn't in there.
Right.
I might say the patient walks a certain distance and starts to develop pain. Legs might get a little wobbly, a little weak, and they got to sit down. That is the definition of intermittent neurogenic claudication, but it's not in there. And how do we know that it's supposed to be in there? There's going to be a learning curve. In fact, Medicare will not put out there keywords for AI to pick up to help you, because what it'll do is now, this is one of the things that's going to happen. Medicare in the next year is probably going to pay less than half of money out because you're going to deny it. By the time everybody catches up to what you're really supposed to say,
Mm.
it'll be a year before we catch up. So it'll be tremendous amount of patients not being treated.
Yeah.
Until we figure these things out. You think they would put out like a guideline?
Yeah, that would be good.
Because if I knew that I had to put the word this is just arbitrary words.
Right.
Intermittent neurogenic claudication, it says explaining what the patient has for the layperson reading it, and there's no more layperson reading it, then we do it. Person complains of radiculopathy, or a patient complains of radiculitis. No, we explain what the patient is actually experiencing.
Right.
But we don't have these words, not all the time, Like you might, the word for diagnosis of radiculitis might be this code. So the code goes in, they look, it's scanning for radiculitis, they don't see it, they deny it. Now, how ridiculous is that? In the meantime, we explain what the patient has.
Right. Well, see, now that's where the AI should hear the explanation and provide the word if it's missing. That's like I'm working with AI right now. Okay. And I'm working on like that the crime show I'm doing next week. And it after working with it for a while, it already knows what I'm working on. And it asks me, do you want me to do this for that radio show you're working on? I say, oh, yes, please. So the AI does grow with you, and it starts to understand what you're saying and what you're doing. But but it's a hit or miss.
I wonder if there's a way of asking AI. We get the pre-certified people to ask AI, what is it that Medicare is looking for in the notes for this particular diagnosis,
right,
in order to approve it? Because you think it's all connected. The AI is looking. Maybe the same AI, I'm sure there's different AIs, would communicate with us and tell us what you actually have to put as far as terminology,
right,
that they could pick up. That's a good point.
Yeah.
If any of my employees are listening, especially the people who do the pre-certification,
right,
write that down, please. And remember
now, that question you asked about the percentages, I just asked AI and it gave it to me.
Yeah.
So there is good. There's just unknown.
Anybody new listening to us probably doesn't know where we are. We're in Brick, New Jersey,
74 Brick Boulevard.
If you want to call us, it's 732
yeah,
262-0700.
It's right on the screen.
732-262-0700.
Right.
You want to look at our website is what?
It's jaspermd.com.
jaspermd.com.
Yeah.
Put
now
that on there.
Now, when you go to 74 Brick Boulevard, it's in the pavilion right behind the Roy Rogers, and we're building B.
It's funny. The other day I had a patient who's 43 years old, and a friend of mine's, a new friend of mine's wife has pain, and she says to me, I'm getting so old now. I can't believe how old I am. I said, you're old. I said, I'm 70. I just turned 70 years old 2 days ago.
Right.
That was the other day was October 1st.
But do you feel 70?
And she says to me, 70 years old? You're 70 years old? I can't believe you're 70 years old. I said, you know what? That's exactly what I said to myself in the mirror 2 days ago.
Right. Right. Because you look good.
Well, I mean, the way I look, it's just that it's more than just the way I look. The fact is, I walked into, they gave me a little party at the office, and they had this big ass 5 foot number 70 blown up.
I saw it.
And the thing, and I was like, holy shit, I just can't believe I'm that age.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? But then in retrospect, I had the same feeling when I turned 50.
Sure.
I had the same feeling when I turned 40. But now I think I'm getting to the age now where, my father, when he turned 70, when he turned 90, he said, I'm going to be 91. He always said that the older you get, the more you're proud of the fact that you're older, especially if you look good and feel good. And you're always trying to give them an older age.
Right. A better outlook on tomorrow.
When you're a kid, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember GJ when he turned 3, he was telling people he was 5,
Right.
right? And when you're like, 14, you might, a mature girl at 14 might tell somebody they're 17. But then you get to when you get middle aged, like 50,
Right.
you start to tell people you're younger.
Yeah.
So it goes through waves. In the beginning of your life, you tell people you're older. Then in the middle, you tell them you're younger. And when you're older, you tell them you're older.
Yeah.
Because you're proud of the fact that you're getting older and you're still alive.
See, now I'm 51, but I go on Facebook and I look at the kids that I went to school with in high school and that are my age, and they look wrecked.
Well,
A lot of them.
it depends how you take care of your life. I never really. This morning I was 194 pounds.
Right.
And I think one time or 2 times in my life, I was over 200. When I say over 200, it's like 201.
Mm.
And when I saw that, because I weigh myself every day, within 24 hours, I was back under 200.
Mm.
And probably my ideal weight would be about 185. Right? But who knows? I've been maintaining. And I eat good. I don't smoke cigarettes. I drink. I don't drink excessively.
No.
Some people might say I do. I have 1 or 2 drinks a night. On a good night, maybe 3. Maybe a nice cocktail, scotch or bourbon on the rocks, and then I'll have maybe 1 or 2 glasses of wine, usually just 1, and then a little after dinner shot, a model Italian bitter, which soothes your stomach, which in Italy they call that medicine.
Right.
So it might counteract the other 2 drinks.
Mm.
I'm probably a little in denial, but that's it. And hopefully, my liver maintains and everything's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, something funny. The other day I come home, I forgot my phone. So I go to the gym and I go shooting home and I walk into my house. We're redoing the kitchen. There's this guy I never saw before. The door's open, right? or the door's closed, locked. A guy comes into my house. I don't know how he get in. So I guess the general contractor must have given him the code to get in,
right?
Which obviously my kitchen's done. The code changes. And I see this guy, he's a sheetrock guy. And he's doing the sheetrock. And he's got these kind of looks like a scaffold where you walk up 1 step and on top of the scaffold. And he's up there doing sheetrock. And he goes, I know you. I see you on TV. You're famous. You're Dr. Jasper. I said, well, I don't know how famous I am. And he comes off of the thing. He steps once, like, boom, right down. And he had to pick up the stuff. He goes up. He's talking back. I said, why do you watch me? You don't look like having. He goes, oh, my back is bad. I said, how old are you? He goes, 60. I said, he's 60 years old going up and down. You got to see some of my patients.
Yeah.
I said, you got nothing wrong with your back. He goes, no, it hurts all the time. I said, because of what you do.
It's end of day aching.
When you retire,
Yeah.
when you retire, it's going to go away, right?
Right.
He goes, no, I got an MRI. I want to come down and see you, this and that. And then he starts talking. He goes, the other day I work with a guy. We listen to you on the radio and we see you on TV. And there's a guy at work, we do all day? We imitate you. I said, you imitate me? He goes, yeah, we can imitate you pretty good. I said, well, imitate me. Let me hear. He goes, oh, no, I can't do it in front of you. I said, no, I'm not offended. I want to hear what I sound like.
Yeah.
Right? And he said like 1 word. And he goes, I can't do it. But I tell you what, that 1 word sounded like me. So I got people out there imitating me.
What do they say? Like imitation is a form of flattery? Is that it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I have to do your. I have a Dr. Jasper imitation. I have to do it to Zuki sometimes for him to listen to me. I'll be like, Zook, inside.
The dog,
yeah.
But I just hope this Medicare it's inevitable. I hate to be negative, but it's not going to be good.
Mm.
It's not going to be good. And it's not everything. They're taking certain things, and they have to pre-cert certain things. The worst are the epidurals.
Mm.
You get a person that's in severe pain coming in, and you look at and you don't have an MRI, but they got something bad going on in their back. You can't see it. You can't treat them unless you get an MRI. I feel bad for these people saying to them, listen, I can't give you a shot today because I don't know, I want this to be precision injections. We don't know what's wrong with your back. and it might be a contraindication to give you a shot in the back,
Right.
right? Please, doc, you got to give me a shot. You can't. So you got to make them suffer. I get the front desk to call, try to get them in stat. Maybe within a couple of days they come in and then I give them an injection. But rumor has it that they might not let you get an MRI unless the person has received physical therapy. Physical therapy. People can't move. Remember how you were? You were in a stretcher? What the hell, physical therapy? You're in severe pain. You got a pinched nerve, crushing a nerve with weakness.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to do physical therapy? That's ridiculous. It's going to ruin pain medicine. It's going to destroy patients. Patients who have a pinched nerve where it's starting to cause weakness could have permanent weakness unless you treat it ASAP. And ain't no physical therapy going to help somebody with sciatica pain.
Yeah, 100%.
With sciatica pain. If you have the beginning of sciatica pain, it's not that bad. The patient is sort of, but maybe it took them a week to get into the office and they say, you know what, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm about, I was a pain score of 10 out of 10 when I called, but now it's like 5 out of 10 and I'm getting better. Then you might consider some physical therapy because you're getting better. Or what I would do, forget the physical therapy because that might make it worse. I would say go home and rest. Come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And most of the time they go home and rest and they come back and the pain is gone.
Right.
So I don't jump to give injections, but I had an MRI to see what was wrong with the patient.
Right.
So it's going to be a problem. I hate to say it. It's going to, I don't know. See, there's certain things as a Republican, as a Democrat, I'm sure all Republicans don't agree with everything the Republicans say, and all Democrats, same thing. They don't agree with the Democrats say. So you just got to pick, who you like the best. But
it's like a buffet. You take what you want, you leave the rest. There's
always collateral damage, no matter what you do, no matter what happens. But that's it. I was going to talk about a lot of stuff that I do on here. But, then it becomes redundant, trying to talk about other stuff.
Yeah, we always get some new listeners, though. Yeah. But those of you that are listening at home, Dr. Jasper uses models to, describe what his procedures are like. If you want to see all of that, just go to YouTube and type in Jasper Spine Institute, like the page, or go to Facebook, Jasper Spine Institute, and like the page. And you'll get notifications for whenever we go live, and you can actually see what he's talking about. So before you call us, you already know what he might be doing for you.
What you would think that the insurance companies would have respect for doctors that are at my level. Most of them at my level have retired.
Yeah.
Right. Not all of them. Most of them have retired, and they've worked. A lot of them. Listen, I didn't start working as early as a lot of the American graduates because I went to medical school in Italy. It's not a 4-year program; it's a 6-year program.
Right.
And I took a couple extra years to graduate. Why? Number one, because I loved the country and I didn't want to leave. I was living good there. Number two, you take one exam at a time, so it's at your own pace. And number three, when I got there, I didn't speak Italian, so I had to go to their undergraduate school and learn. I had private tutors in Italian. Mm-hmm. So I graduated maybe 3 or 4 years after somebody would graduate in this country. So I was a little bit older than most of the doctors starting their residency and their fellowship training and all that other stuff. But, in the long run, I'm still, from how many years is it from 1991? That's 25, that's 30, that's 34 years.
Yeah.
That I've been practicing.
That's a year before I graduated high school.
Yeah, I've started. I've been 30. You're talking 35 years of practicing.
Right.
Now, going through all the steps to learn the new stuff. They make fun of doctors that go to weekend courses. Oh, you learned it on a weekend course. It's not just a weekend course. Something new comes along. What are you going to do? You got to learn it somehow. Today, we got a lot of internet stuff. You pick stuff up on that. But, 20 years ago, when the new stuff started coming out, even more than 25 years ago, new stuff started coming out. We had to do week courses, weekend courses, and it's not just one course. You do multiple courses all over the world. I did it. I went to Korea. I went to South America. I went to Europe, all over Europe. I went to France. I went to Germany. I went to Austria. I went to Holland. Where else? And that's about it there. And then all over the United States to learn from the top guys, right? Weekend courses. Why? Because we got to work during the week. Sometimes we take a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday off, or sometimes take a whole week. When I went to Korea, I was there for 10 days. So that my practice took a hit, but in the long run was a good hit because we learned a lot more.
Yeah.
So you're constantly learning. And as you learn this in your brain, as somebody who has some abstract thinking on how we're going to help the patients, and by helping the patients, you see how they respond, and all of a sudden you develop a technique, which I'd like to one day write a book on, but I need somebody to assist me. I have no time to sit down and write.
Right.
And on the interventional pain techniques, protocols of Dr. Gabriele Jasper, something like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily reflect on what the insurance companies want to pay for. Because half the stuff I do, insurance company, not half, maybe 1/4 stuff I want to do, insurance company won't even pay for, or they don't want you to do it because certain things weren't done before. They got to do their protocol, and their protocol is not the protocol, the actual realistic protocol that I've adapted over the years.
Right.
So the people who should be making these protocols are doctors like me, who have been doing it and realize that you don't do this first because it ain't going to work. You got to do this first. You don't go to physical therapy first before you treat somebody with severe sciatica pain. It just makes it worse, and it hurts, and it's no good, and you can injure the patient.
Yeah.
It's stupid, Yeah.
Well, we got our pal Christopher Cullen. Always the best advice. Happy 70th birthday and welcome to the club. Friends for a lifetime. Long live the best pain and spine specialist in the USA.
Thanks, Chris.
And he goes on to say, I visited you while you were in medical school in Bologna 36 years ago. We were porch people in Lock Arbor too. Great memories. Love you, doctor.
It might have been longer than 36 years ago. How many years ago was it? When did you come? It had to be like 1986. 1987, I graduated. So 1980, let's round it out. 1985. Right? That's how many years? 15 plus 25?
35. 15 plus how much?
That's 40 years, right?
Yeah, 40 years.
So it's been 40 years. Unless you came to my graduation. But no,
no, he says
so it's a little, hey, listen, it's around 35, 40 years.
He says he's so proud of your accomplishments.
Well, thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, you're the man. The friends you got that are great, yeah. And they love you.
I got some friends who are assholes, but then they consider me assholes too.
Yeah, well, I don't know how they could do that. I love you.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So
I saw a lady the other day. She was in the back room. Is that the lady you were talking about? She goes, I just talked to Jeremy. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He really made me relaxed.
Yeah.
I feel much better now.
I tell them I tell them, like, here, I'm here every Wednesday. If you're unsure, you need somebody to sit and talk with, just ask for me and I'll come in, because I'm a patient too. I've gone through most of the stuff they're going to go through. And I understand their pain on a personal level, So my story, I always say, my story is your story. We both share the same thing.
Yeah.
And that puts them at ease, and it should. I bounced around to a lot of places where I didn't have anybody enlightening me on what to expect when you're expecting, Yeah. But it's actually the more I keep doing it in the office, the more I feel good because I'm putting people at ease before they even get to see it.
It reminds me of I got some patients that we talk about procedures that I want to do on them.
Yeah,
and they're skeptical on certain procedures. But I say, listen, I have plenty of testimonials that you can call or you can see. Where do I tell him to look? Do I tell him to look on YouTube?
Yeah,
Testimonials.
we got
Do
testimonials.
we have it under like category? Like if we're going to do a Minuteman, can they put in a YouTube Minuteman procedure by Dr. Jasper? And a
Yeah,
testimonial?
I think I have everything hashtagged out. The hashtags work in the algorithm. So if you type in, back pain,
Yeah, like
come up.
via disc, via disc. We have any testimonials of I think we do.
Yeah, I think we do.
So I mean, these
Facebook is another great place. Like we archive all of our shows there, and you can also see every testimonial there from patients going all the way back. So like I really stress if you are on Facebook and you want to know more about what Dr. Jasper does, that's the place to be, because you'll hear him talking personally, like hear about his patients and what he does in the office, and you'll see the testimonials from patients who are going through things that you might be going through yourself, and it's important to hear that you're not alone in it.
Another thing, you just gave me another idea. People could call the office,
sure,
and ask any question they want,
mm-hmm.
because my office, just about every staff member knows what I do.
Yeah,
there's always somebody available if I'm not available to answer all your questions. Answer the questions on what we do, how we can help you. You tell them what your problem is, and you're not going to get charged for that.
Right.
It's information about how we can help you. And by the way, we also, you have an MRI. I've been doing this for 25, 30 years, that if you have an MRI report, disc, whatever, even the report, you send a report in, I'll go over it. My staff members will go over it. We'll all go over it, and we'll call you and tell you if we can help you.
Yeah.
If we can't help you, we'll tell you we can't help you. If we can help you, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll tell you how we can help you. And by the way, another thing is, I got tons of patients that come to my office. I had at least 3 yesterday. Self-pay, which means that they might have no insurance. They might have insurance that doesn't have out-of-network benefits, so I don't take their insurance. They might have been somebody who had a motor vehicle accident. They're only allowed to go to certain doctors. Could be somebody's workman's comp that are only allowed to go to their doctors. And you hear about me, people, you ask about me, people tell you about me. I mean, you could come to my office and for an initial visit, initial evaluation for a certain amount of money, which is ridiculous money,
right?
And get the true, I'll go down, I'll spend time with you. I'll look at your MRI. We'll do a complete history and physical examination, and I'll come up with a plan. Of what will help you. Number one, feel better. Number two, avoid any major surgery, because a lot of times workman's comp, personal injury, they want to rush you into surgery, because they get big money for that. So they're not going to let that go by. And if you do pay for the initial, when you do pay for the initial visit, and what I've been doing lately is, I had a guy yesterday that came in, paid for the initial visit. He was in a lot of pain. I said, listen, do you want me to give you a shot, get rid of your pain today? He goes, absolutely. I said, all right. So whatever, I don't know how much it is, but I said, whatever it costs me to give you a shot today, I'm going to deduct your initial visit fee, and I'm going to put it toward that.
Right.
Because number one, I feel bad for these people. Number two, it's hard for me to charge people. But that's my downfall when it comes to. I'm not a good businessman.
You got a huge heart, man.
If it was up to me, I don't charge anybody. But guess what? Then I wouldn't be able to afford anything. I mean, the medication, the people in the room help me to get them in, to answer the phone. All these people got to be paid for. So that's really what you're paying for. And what we get paid for these, cash pay, it's not anywhere near what we would get paid, even though we don't get paid tremendously with the insurance companies anymore. But it's an option. I got people coming in from New York State, people coming from out of the country that we don't take the insurance, and they pay because, they know they're going to get better, and they've done the research on me.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I think we're done here today.
Yeah, I think we are. So, yeah. So everybody have a happy weekend. Yeah.
Everybody's good. Don't forget 732-262-0700,
Mm-hmm.
74 Brick Boulevard, Brick, New Jersey. And JasperMD.com. Look at us. What's it called on there? It's Painless with Dr. Jasper.
Painless with Dr. Jasper.
YouTube videos. Just put my name in; it'll come up.
Yeah.
Google me. You'll see that I have good reviews. The only real bad review, I think, was a patient complained that, in fact, it happened the other day that Philip was in the kitchen cooking something with olive oil and garlic, and it was around 12 o'clock. A patient's been there for like an hour and a half, starving to death. Now it smells like an Italian restaurant, and people complain about that.
People have different.
Make sure if you come to my office anywhere after 10 o'clock in the morning, make sure you eat something before you get there.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Take care. Like Dr. Jasper said, for more information about him and all the things he does, please go to jaspermd.com. And one last goodbye from Christopher Cullen. He says, thank you always. All right, guys, you take care.